Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to the next letter, and it's a letter to Kirtika Mataji, Judith Cornell. So she's just getting initiated, and Prabhupada is sending her beads and telling her about the process of Krishna consciousness, and very nice sweet letter. And there's also a very interesting fact that comes out here. So let's see what's this about. So today's letter, it's a letter, it starts at the top, letter to Kirtika, Judith Cornell. It's Calcutta, 21st May 1971. And then Prabhupada in his classic writes the date in reverse in numeric again, 71-5-21. And then he starts the letter. My dear Kirtika, Judith Cornell, please accept my blessings. So we were saying Guru always starts by giving blessings to the disciple. And so Prabhupada says here, Rupanuga Prabhu has recommended you for initiation, and I am so glad to accept you as my duly initiated disciple. So Prabhupada has just given initiation to this devotee, and but he's in a different place and she's in a different place. So how would Prabhupada do this? He would post the beads that he would chant on. This is the process that he used. He would take some beads, preferably Tulsi beads, and he would chant on it, and then he would put the person's name, write the person's name, put the beads in an envelope and their neck beads, and send it. He would send the beads, and then maybe from the temple they would get the neck beads. So change their neck beads and put, Prabhupada would have chanted on their japamala, and he would give their name. So Prabhupada goes on to say, I have given you the spiritual name Kirtika Devi Dasi. So I'm just remembering in our days, we were so full of energy, young brahmacharis. So when this moment would come, when the devotees, the spiritual master is giving the class, and then he says, so what is your name? And then he says, right, and what are the vows you promise to take? And then you give your 4 regulative principles. And then he says, your name is now Kirtika Devi Dasi. Haribol! Boom, 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 boom. The mridanga would just go boom, 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 and big Haribol! Tumultuous sound. It used to be it was like so joyous, and so it's a celebration that a soul has come back to the path of going back home, back to Godhead. It's really the most joyous, it's the thing to celebrate. That after all the so many lifetimes in this material world, we finally come to sense that we want to go back to Krishna, want to go back, and we want to serve the spiritual master. So it is a very special moment, And Prabhupada goes on to say, Kirtika is the name of one of the gopis. Oh, so she's got a very sweet name. One of the gopis. It's not one of the principal gopis, but the groups of gopis that are there. Yesterday I was hearing a class on this 10th canto that they are the Vatsalya gopis and then the Madhurya gopis. So the Vatsalya gopis are those in Vatsalya Ras, the motherly figures. So the Vatsalya gopis are those in motherly relationship to Krishna. And then the Madhurya gopis are those who are in Madhurya relationship, the boy and girl relationship with Krishna. So two different groups. Of course, there are many groups of gopis that serve in different ways, but like a basic distinction for us starting up, at least we can differentiate that. It's interesting that they call the gopis Vatsalya gopis as well. Those are in motherly relationship to Krishna. So Prabhupada goes on to say here, also your beads have been duly chanted on by me and are enclosed herewith. So I'm remembering in Vrindavan, this is a very special thing that this is called Guru Prasad, the mercy of the spiritual master, the Japamala that he's chanted on. Therefore, some traditions in Vrindavan, they criticize us that for those in saffron, those wearing saffron cloth, the orange cloth, that fine, you are renounced, but why are your bead bag also saffron color? Because are you renouncing your japa? Are you renouncing your beads? That is Guru Prasad. So let's appreciate the mood that they have. Let's appreciate the consciousness rather than the critique. That they have a very deep respect and consciousness for the beads. So it's, I was just remembering that point from Vrindavan, that those sannyasis, they'll wear saffron, but their bead bag will be white. Because you're not renouncing your japa. You're not renouncing your beads. You're not renouncing the mantra. So, interesting philosophy there. Prabhupada goes on to say, the gopis are so much engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna that they are condemning the Creator Lord Brahma for not knowing how to make perfect eyes. Just see. So, it's been many, many years that this point actually intrigued me, and I like mathematics and science, so I thought about it a little and I said, I wonder if we could calculate this. Why the gopis are so upset? It's just the blinking of an eye. Why should it be so, such a big thing? So it turns out to really be a big thing. And I want to share these calculations with you. If you have a look here, this is what the scientists say about the blinking of the human eye. So they say it takes about 1/3 a second, 300ths of a second for your eyes to blink. In 1 second, that means you'll blink 3 times, approximately, about 3 times in 1 second. So it's 300ths of a second. So I kind of took that and I said, let's explore this a little bit. So I'm hopeful that these calculations are correct, and it really gave me a stark idea why the gopis are so upset. So there's 2 ways to calculate this. One is the frequency of the blink. How often do you blink? So that's a variable. We don't know really. Different people blink at different rates. But I worked on just the blink reaction speed. So 1 blink takes 300ths of a second. So we'll just work with that formula for now. So if you work with me on this, if you look at this little chart I drew up, it takes 300ths of a second equals 1 blink. So 3 blinks equals 1 second. So in 1 second you blink 3 times. Then in 60 seconds you blink 180 times. So that, so far we okay, right? In 60 seconds the blink speed is 180 times, right? So if you extend that, we then blink 10,800 blinks in 1 hour. So in 1 hour we blink 10,800 times. So you can see the stats tell us here that in a day we approximately blink about 30,000 times, or more like 28,800 times a day the human eye blinks. So if we extend that, it's 3 hours in a day. It takes 3 hours in a day that we have lost just in blinking the eyes. Oh, that is 1/8 of the day. That is really a lot of time. 3 hours in a day. So let's extend that a little more. In one day, if it takes 3 hours in one day, every 8 days we will lose 1 day by blinking. Just by blinking, we will lose 1 day every 8 days. That means then in a month, we lose 3.5 days just by blinking. 3.5 days just by blinking in a month. Let's extend it further. In a year, in 3.5 years, we lose 1 month just in blinking. And in 42 years, we lose a complete year just by blinking the eye. 1 year. So anybody over 40? Yes, put up your hands. Anybody over 42 years old, you would have lost 1 whole year just by blinking your eyes in terms of time, in calculating time. You would have lost 1 whole year. That's a lot. That's why the gopis are upset. This was quite intriguing to me. So when I put it together, I looked at it, I said, wow, no wonder they're so upset. That's a lot of time. Even if you work it in months and year and days, 3 hours a day, just blinking the eye is a lot of time. That's a lot of time wasted just because when your eyes are closed, you're not seeing it. So for 3 hours, your eyes are closed. You sleep for 8 hours, 11 hours, almost half the day is gone. That's something to think about. Prabhupada goes on to say, they were disturbed that when blinking their eyes, they could not see Krishna. So that is the perfection in Krishna consciousness. To be so much engaged in Krishna's loving service that you cannot bear separation from that service, not even for a moment. So somehow or the other, always be engaged. So Prabhupada is saying this is the secret now. Always find something to do. Prabhupada would say, always be busy in Krishna. Always be busy. Always be busy in Krishna. Find something to do. So he's giving some ideas here what to do. And if there's nothing else, if you say, oh, there's nothing to do, I already did this, I already did that, I already did the service, I already read a bit, I already did some Sankirtan, okay, then chant. Take your beads and chant. So Prabhupada is saying that here. You can always sit down and chant Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna japa, I'm not sure what's this 43, but 16 rounds. 16 rounds daily is the minimal requirement. But you should chant Hare Krishna as much as possible and follow all the regulative principles strictly. So now you remember in yesterday's class also Prabhupada is giving those guidelines, same guidelines, that you follow the regulative principles, chant your 16 rounds, read all our books, read all the books, attend classes, attend to the temple programs and classes online, and go for street Sankirtan and go for Harinam Sankirtan. In this way, be engaged in Krishna's business 24 hours. And what will be the result of this? Let's see. And you will be happy. And in the end, you will go back home, back to Godhead. Here's another benediction by Prabhupada. So the simplicity of the activity is there. This is what needs to be done. And it's just this four or five things. Today Prabhupada added Sankirtan, Harinam, street Sankirtan. So if we just follow these things with a sincere heart, Prabhupada again and again in these letters is promising you'll go back to Godhead. Wow. Even Krishna is saying in Gita, in the 7th chapter, verse 1, Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Matashraya Ahshamshaya Shamagrama Yata Kyasnasi Takshanu. So he's saying that this process, Arjun, that I'm going to tell you now, which is bhakti, Maya Shakta Manapartha, that just by using your mind to think about me and connect to me with that, Ashamshaya, no doubt, free from doubt. You'll have doubtlessly this process will be successful. Krishna is saying it. Ashamshaya shamagrama yata gyasnasi takshunu. Hear this from me, takshunu, that this process can give you the highest benediction just by remembering me. Prabhupada then ends, hoping this meets you well in good health, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So very sweet letter, very, very nice letter. I was very intrigued with it when I saw those. I thought about that, how long does the human eye blink for? That's a lot of time. No wonder the gopis are justified in being angry with Lord Brahma. So I hope you enjoyed the class today. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.